I never thought someone would be crazy enough to attempt a video like this, but then I remembered someone.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
With several dozen Hermitcraft redstone tutorials under my belt, I thought I'd go the extra mile for a new series drawing inspiration from those old tutorials. However, I don't intend this series to be a block-by-block tutorial of their builds. Rather, it will be more of a review/analysis series with the occasional what-if idea thrown in there. For example, what if Mumbo's starter base van was from the 70s and rainbow colored? No, perhaps not. Obviously, I kinda need to have access to the builds myself in order to review them, which is where this video comes in. As you can probably tell, this is also more of an announcement video for ideas I've got planned. We'll certainly be spending 100 days in creative mode recreating Hermitcraft, but if you're looking for lengthy time lapses of their builds and discussions of the thought processes behind them, you should go watch their videos, as you won't find that here. What I will be doing though is a bit of a mini breakdown of the builds as I go. I suppose I'll probably show like 10 seconds of time-lapse footage just so that no one thinks I somehow hacked the Hermitcraft server and just copy-pasted the builds. Around this channel, we do things legit, like making an entire tutorial series for Sahara. I think it's pretty well established that the Hermits are excellent at what they do, but you know they're pretty modest about their abilities, which is great and everything, but that's why I'm here. In my review and analysis series, we'll be examining just what makes their builds stand out in the vast crowd of Minecraft architecture, and what makes them great. I'll quantify the individual techniques and block palettes and building styles as much as something creative and artistic can be quantified, and I think we'll all learn something from it. I know I've certainly learned a lot from making this video. Just as a disclaimer, I obviously don't own any of the builds featured in this video. They're being used here and in my future videos simply as works of art to be studied and examined. You can find links to all the Hermits videos that I used to recreate the builds shown here down in the description. Obviously I wasn't able to recreate all of Hermitcraft in one video, so I selected a specific area of the server to begin with based on which builds I plan to examine first. Well, I've got the seed right here, and if I remember the start of the season correctly, we should be spawning in a village. Ah yes, here it is. Alright, let's just break the window here real quick, don't mind me villagers. Okay, what we got in here? Wow, that's pretty mediocre. I need to find the area where Bodum is located because it certainly isn't at spawn. Ah, here we are. This is the spot. It's pretty insane looking at this area now after just having created the world and then comparing it to how it currently looks on the Hermitcraft server. Quite the transformation, one that I must begin myself. I've decided that the first build I'll be doing is Mumbo's starter base, the VW bus. I think that this right here might be the hardest part of the entire video, just figuring out where the location of it is. Once I determine where the first build goes, it'll be just a little bit easier to add everyone else's as I go along. And you know what? I think I've got it. I certainly agree with Mumbo about wanting to live in this bus with the little trailer. From what I understand, a tree monster thing comes along and picks up the bus a little bit later on in the season, but I probably won't be including that build in this video. Pretty sure I said like 30 seconds ago that finding the location of Mumbo's bus would be the hardest part of the video. Well, that was completely wrong. It took a very long time to determine the location of Green's house, but I'm pretty sure I've got it down to within a block or two of its location after like 45 minutes or something of just looking at grass. Oh, hey there, Technoblade, what do you think of the house? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? There are a lot of gradients that Green used in the walls of his house, but I think that the most striking aspect of it for me is the sheer number of details on the walls. Virtually every window is a unique design, and when combined with detailing in the forms of signs and buttons over top of a gradiented wall, I don't even know if that's a word, but gradiented, the result is a build interesting and unique from every angle. I didn't even realize the first few times watching through the video that there was glow lichen on the walls. It took me a while to figure out that that was there, but it looks really cool. I'd also like to just take a moment to point out how good the circular windows look. It gives me this sort of Hobbit house vibe. Pearl's starter base has a very interesting take on your typical house design. A house made partially from an upside down boat hull with several sails attached to the roof. And I must say these sails are quite good looking. As someone who's built a fair number of sailing ships, it's very difficult to make the sails appear so they have wind in them and are alive, without ending up with something that looks like a weird cotton ball. This color palette, being comprised mostly of warm colors, is also very pleasing. About halfway through building the base, I realized that it was torn down and moved shortly after it was first completed on Hermitcraft, so I figured I'd just keep building it in the first spot and move it with structure blocks once I was done. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. Impulse's base wasn't too difficult to determine the location of thanks to some very helpful naturally generated flower placement and an in-depth time-lapse. For being made with mostly early game materials like cobblestone, it looks pretty decent structurally. Also, Impulse mentioned that it was a design from a Planet Minecraft user by the name of XONOX over on Planet Minecraft, so I believe you can go check it out for yourself if you want. Up next to the main challenge of this video, Scar's wagons and the surrounding landscape. I've got the area for the first wagon prepared, and now, as an old friend once said,
this is where the fun begins.
45 days later, almost half the playtime, I've completed the wagons. These wagons were probably one of the most challenging things I've ever replicated, second only to Tango's Nether Tree farm from the last season of Hermitcraft. I'd say the first wagon was the hardest because I had to learn what the best way to build the wagon was, but once I got a system down, the others weren't too bad. I'd start with the wagon chassis and then build the structure on top before finishing with the addition of the wheels and or treads. I guess only or, there's no wheels and treads, that'd be kinda cool though. Scar did a great job with making the wagons all look like they belong together, but also distinct and interesting individually at the same time. For me, the two aspects of each wagon that tie them together the most are the chassis and the roofs. All the wagons have very similar chassis designs utilizing the same block palette, in addition to similar copper roof designs. I think that there's a lot that can be learned from these wagons alone, but I don't want to go too in depth here, so I think they deserve a video of their own. This might be one of the few builds that I construct an interior for, since it's pretty iconic as the Swaggin' Garage, and is shown off a lot in Scar's videos, although probably won't get to that today. The theme of the deep slate lower down in the build persisted in the Swaggin' Garage, and it overall looks like it could have been a wagon structure that was simply detached from the wheels and chassis. Actually, I wonder what it could look like if this were a mobile build instead of having been an old abandoned building like in Scar's backstory. Maybe the garage arrived in multiple parts, kind of like those house segments you sometimes see riding on semis down highways. My intention for the remainder of the 100 days will just be working on the landscaping around the wagons and the buildings, all to the tune of my weird Spotify playlist with Halo and Taylor Swift. I've reached a bit of a dilemma here with these wagon wheel tracks. There is no way for me to accurately recreate them based off the footage that is shown, so there's only one thing left I can do. I just have to make them myself. I doubt that it should be too hard because I already know what blocks I'm supposed to use and the general style to build in. Now I just have to make more of it. I kind of feel like a basic AI in this circumstance, like give me enough examples of something and eventually I'll be able to continue it on my own. Well, here it is. Day 100. I ended up getting the path and wagon tracks finished, in addition to a bit of terraforming around the back of the Swaggin' Garage. So Scar had already put some little rock decorations around the bottom of the wall, so that gave me the idea to turn one segment of that into a cliff. I chose the side above the water where I already couldn't see what was supposed to be there very well, and I think it turned out pretty nice. I think that place where my cliff is actually ended up being a flat grassy area that probably got terraformed and decorated later on, but I don't know for sure what happened to it. It was also a little bit difficult to tell what was going on with this grass area above the beach from the video, so I just made it into a little terraformed dirt bank. To be honest, I was expecting to finish more in 100 days, but I guess replicating wagons takes a lot of time. There are for sure more builds that I need to recreate for some ideas that I have for videos, but I'm not sure if I'm going to make it into another 100-day video. If you guys want me to, just let me know down in the comments, but I can always do it off camera since this video was sort of an announcement. Anyways, that's going to be all for this video. Go check out the Hermits videos on these builds if you somehow are seeing this video before theirs. If you're new to my channel and enjoyed this video, then I would highly recommend checking out my series on the Scar World SMP, Scar's Patreon server. I've also got a super exciting video releasing in a day or two from when I upload this video that I've been working on for a very long time. As always, if you haven't already, be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button down below. Hope you have a good rest of your day. I've been Sbeev, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Bye!